Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me here today as I release my 2014 proposed budget for Erie County, my second budget as county executive. This budget represents an understanding that as a county government, we are here to serve the residents of the community, provide the services that they've repeatedly called for, services that often can only be provided by government. I'm proud to report that the 2014 proposed budget preserves and strengthens many popular county programs and services. Although technically discretionary, these items are mandated by the citizens of Erie County, what I call the people's mandates. Some of them we have listed on the screen up there. We continue our investment in Erie County's libraries with $415,867 in new operational funding for the library system, as well as $250,000 in new capital funding for the purchase of a new bookmobile and other supplies. Another $2 million is being provided to rehab the greenhouses at the Buffalo and Erie County Botanical Gardens, which of course Erie County owns, which when combined with the $1 million allocated in 2013 will allow the Department of Public Works to immediately commence a project to address badly deteriorating infrastructure at a number of the greenhouses there. This budget also will provide tens of millions of dollars in infrastructure improvements on the roads and bridges across Erie County. In total, $36.5 million is being invested in both the capital and operating budgets as it pertains to the roads and bridges of Erie County as proposed for 2014. Additionally, because we have a fleet of vans in our senior services division that seems to be breaking down much too often, we are purchasing new vans for the very popular Going Places Senior Citizens Transportation Service program. And we're also continuing to fund a number of the programs and initiatives that the public spoke about in the last few years that I heard about that they wanted to ensure we funded. These are the people's mandates as well. The Operation Primetime program, the erosion control program, as well as supporting our agricultural community through the Cornell Cooperative Extension, which is a popular 4-H program, and of course the Erie County Soil and Water Conservation District, which helps the agricultural community ensure that they have sufficient and safe water supplies for their agricultural needs. In addition, I've talked about it many times now with regards to the parks. We'll be investing $2.5 million of new capital infrastructure in the parks in 2014, after we've invested nearly $4.5 million in 2012 and 2013. We've done a lot of good works in the parks in the last few years, but the work's not done yet. And that's why we have a proposal to invest $2.5 million in parks infrastructure next year. Now, in all, the general fund budget will be $1.39 billion, which represents a 1.1% increase from last year, or approximately $15.5 million over the 2013 spending plan. And as is the case in most years, this increase is being driven primarily by state and federal mandate expenses, which we truthfully have no to very little control over. Some of these expenses, as you will see on the screen as well, include increases in the caseloads and expense of the Safety Net program, which is the program that we are required to provide by the federal government for anybody who should apply for assistance, whether it be food stamps, Medicaid. They first get this program before we determine whether they qualify for any of the other programs. We also are seeing massive new mandated spending within the Sheriff's Jail Management Division. And for the first time, spending in the Jail Management Division will cost nearly $100 million. A staggering sum that places severe pressure on the overall general fund. And that is in addition to overall increased spending in the correctional health services mandated by the federal government as a result of the settlement of the lawsuit that the Federal Department of Justice had with Erie County. So we'll be spending easily more than $100 million between the Jail Management Division and Correctional Health to ensure the safety and security of the inmates at the holding center, as well as the health of the inmates at a correctional facility. We're also seeing increased costs as a result of workers' compensation costs, even though we're seeing relatively level cases across the board. We're not seeing a growth in cases, but we are seeing an increase in the costs associated with workers' compensation. And we're also seeing a nearly $1.5 to $2 million increase in community college chargebacks. If an Erie County resident attends a community college elsewhere in New York State, we as a community help subsidize the cost associated with that. So we are required to charge back to the communities that the individual goes to a cost associated with them going to Niagara Community College or Jamestown Community College or wherever, Onondaga Community College, Monroe Community College. We subsidize the cost associated with that. So it's important that we keep those students here in Erie County so we don't have to have these dramatic increases in the chargeback program as we've seen recently. As I did last year, I asked my budget office, of which there's many of them in the office here, and I thank each and every one of them for the hard work that they've done, not only in the preparation of this budget, but ensuring that we have a good 2013 budget. But I asked each of them to come together and ensure what would happen if we had a status quo budget. That means keeping everything exactly the same, without any new revenue growth lines. What would it be? We were faced with a $29.2 million budget gap, a sizable amount. That means our spending, of course, was growing, but our revenues would not. To plug such a gap, an increase in the property tax rate would be approximately a 10% property tax increase. And I said to my budget office, that is not sustainable, that's not acceptable. How can we ensure we can plug this gap without having a property tax rate increase? And I'm proud to say that we were able to do that by making a variety of reductions in spending across county government, as well as using creative, proven revenue solutions that I will note in a moment. We were able to bridge this gap and truthfully hold the line on taxes. The property tax rate for 2014 will be $5.03, which is the same rate in Erie County as it's been since actually 2009. So the property tax rate will not be going up. And if you did a comparison of the property tax rate of Erie County in 2013 and 14 compared to years past, especially the 90s, it is lower than what it used to be in the late 80s and the early 90s. Now, one of the reasons that we're able to do this is through is assessment growth. Assessment growth is the valuation of properties in the community going up, basically because of work that's done on the town level in which they actually provide the assessments and determine the assessments for all valuation property in the county. So what we're going to benefit from is $4.4 million in additional revenue to the levy from assessment growth. As you may remember, last year was only the fourth time since 1979 in which Erie County had no growth. We actually went down. The value of all the property in Erie County for 2013 was less than what it was for 2012. We are actually seeing an increase this year, which will bring in $4.4 million. So it's a good thing. However, the loss of the revenue increase last year was not only a problem for 13, it's also a problem for 14 and onwards, because we have a lower base than was originally projected in the four-year plan for 14. So it's a good thing. We're seeing a growth in our property tax levy as a result of assessment growth, and that's because of, truthfully, the good things that are happening in this community with all the new projects that are coming online. Now, the comptroller yesterday was very critical of this, made it sound like it's a bad thing. The assessment growth does not necessarily mean people's property taxes are going up. It also means that we've got new projects that are on the line that are more valuable than they were in the past. And I'm a little disappointed that he publicly called this a tax increase, because I believe it's truthfully hypocritical and disingenuous for him to do that, considering in 2011 he lauded then County Executive Mr. Collins for holding the line on taxes when he had the same exact thing happen, which was property tax levy assessment growth, and truthfully a larger amount than what we've had this year. A property tax growth on the levy is not a tax increase. It just means that we have new, more valuable properties throughout the entire county. And anybody who's going out there truly doesn't understand the system and how it works. And I call on the comptroller, instead of just going out there and being critical of it, to say it's a good thing because we've got new valuable properties in our community, and truthfully to work with my administration, instead of just throwing these bombs out there so you can get his face on TV. Now, one of the other areas that we have is a major line in county government with regards to revenues is sales tax. We bring in much more in sales tax than we do in property taxes. Erie County has made a decision for many years to have a little higher sales tax rate so we can have a little lower property tax rate as compared to most other counties in New York State. As a result, we are seeing conservative sales tax projections for next year of 2.75% over the adjusted 2013 amount. So we are going to see a little less than we had originally proposed in sales tax growth in our four-year plan as released last year. This 2.75% is actually one of the most conservative estimates that any county government has done in the last few years, at least the last decade, other than the years coming out of the 2008 international fiscal crisis. So we are ensuring that we have conservative estimates on the sales tax so so that we, once again, have a fair and balanced budget. Now, the other area that we were able to adjust in closing the gap is in spending cuts. Now, after spending reductions were made across the board in county departments, we resulted in a net reduction of 40 individuals throughout Erie County government. Now, when I say individuals, these are jobs that are more, in almost every circumstance, not presently filled. The vast majority of these positions are vacant positions, some of them which have been vacant for more than a year. So I don't want it reported that 40 individuals, a net 40 individuals will be losing their jobs, because the vast majority of these positions are presently not filled by anybody. So what we're doing, and what I did by talking to departments, I said, what positions are out there? If they've been sitting vacant for more than a year, and some of these positions have been sitting vacant for more than a year, then you can probably get by without them, so we don't need them for the 2014 budget. So after we looked at the assessment growth, the sales tax revenue we brought in, the spending cuts, we still had a $17.9 million budget gap out of the original $29.2 million to fill. And as I learned last year, presenting a property tax rate increase would not be acceptable to the public, and certainly wouldn't be acceptable to the legislature. They're unwilling to match reoccurring expenses with reoccurring revenues. So my administration and others worked very hard to ensure we ended up with a balanced budget for 2013, and we proposed a very balanced budget for 2014 that meets the needs of the community, follows the priorities of my administration, and truthfully holds the line on taxes. And I call on everybody, including the legislature, to continue to work to ensure that we're able to do this while ensuring the services that the public wants and needs are provided in the future. So how did we close that $17 million budget gap? Well, we used $5.4 million of fund balance, which had previously been approved by the control board in the review of the 2013 budget and four-year plan. This is a modest and acceptable amount of fund balance usage when we have a very healthy $88.3 million fund balance. It still keeps the county very much above the 5% threshold that is part of the charter. If we were to do the 5% threshold, we'd be approximately $60 million. We're not going down to that. We're only using a very small amount, as was previously approved by the control board. Second, we are using $3.9 million derived from the closing of what are called dormant capital accounts. This is money that's been sitting, truthfully, for years for projects that the county has already completed, has already paid the debt service on, that's just sitting there doing nothing. Under New York State law, we can utilize that for any purpose, but what we're doing is we're going to take that $3.9 million of extra money that's sitting around that had been originally designated for use in capital projects, and we're going to put that back into the capital infrastructure that we pay for out of the operating budget, primarily road work and the road fund. And then once the debt, so we can use that now because the debt service has been paid off, those original projects are done. Most of those projects were done many, many years ago. We were able to use $3.9 million of that for any purpose, and we're going to invest it with regards to our pay-as-you-go infrastructure. And then, lastly, we're taking advantage of New York State's Employer Contribution Stabilization Program, which will provide us with $8.6 million of savings in 2014. This is not the Governor Cuomo's pension smoothing option, but a program that was created in 2010 to give local governments the flexibility to amortize annual employer contributions to the pension system. This will not be used for the entire contribution, because Erie County's entire contribution is actually $40 million. We'll be amortizing $8.6 million of that to give us savings now and take advantage of the exceptionally low rates that exist. Now, people say, well, why are you doing this? This is a gimmick. It's not a gimmick. More than 200 governments across New York State, including 18 counties, have been using this for a number of years. Albany County, Monroe County, not too far away, and truthfully the county that is considered the gold standard for New York State counties on fiscal health, and truthfully all of the Northeast, Westchester County has been taking advantage of this program. I tasked my budget office to see what other counties were doing. What could they do, or what were they doing that we could do here that we haven't done in Erie County recently, to take advantage of the programs and services that exist so that we can save money this year rather than having to spend more this year. And we were able to find out by analyzing and talking to other counties that this is something that many other counties take advantage of. And when we saw that Westchester County was taking advantage of it, and it had no negative impact with regards to their credit rating, I felt it was appropriate for us to do it to a small amount. This is not the full amount of the amortization that Erie County, we're not amortizing the full amount of our pension payment. We're only amortizing a very small portion of it so that we ensure at the end that we actually have a balanced budget and without raising taxes. Now, this proposal actually has to go there's two proposals, the budget proposal and there's a second proposal regarding the pension amortization program. We'll be sending that over to the legislature today for their approval. If they choose not to enter into the pension amortization program, the employer contribution stabilization program, there would be an $8.6 million hole in the budget. So I'm calling on the legislature to pass this, otherwise they would truthfully not be able to cut their way out of that and they have to raise taxes, and I don't think that's appropriate. This is a good proposal that many other counties use that will save us money this year and will also ensure the future stability of our pension payments. Now, when I look at the great thing about a budget is everyone looks at it and see, well, the budget books are there, they're real thick, the pages and spreadsheets, dollars and cents, but I think we often get caught up just in the numbers, focusing on the property tax rate or the challenges that we face due to increased costs and mandated expenses in state government. There's far more to governing a community of our size than that, especially when it comes to preparation of a budget. I think more importantly, we should talk about what we want to accomplish as a community and how we can achieve those goals. How do we make Erie County a better place for our families and to build off the many successes that we've seen in recent years? I believe county government has a vital role to play in helping grow our economy and creating more local jobs. We do this not necessarily by expanding government, by making the atmosphere in Erie County conducive to private sector growth. Last June at the Buffalo-Niagara Partnership, I released my economic agenda, Initiatives for a Smart Economy. This plan is comprised of 64 achievable initiatives along 12 various spectrums of our economy. And it's in my administration's embrace of a comprehensive and innovative approach to economic development, the kind that works for everyone in the community. Now, when the budget we're putting it together, I told my budget staff I want to be able to implement a number of the initiatives that we had in the Initiatives for a Smart Economy, as much as we possibly could without causing a fiscal hole in the budget. Well, I'm happy to say, working with the various departments, the budget staff was able to do that, as some of the most promising initiatives from my proposal, Initiatives for a Smart Economy, are included in the 2014 budget. This is a giant step forward to the implementation of the Initiatives for a Smart Economy plan, and truthfully, what we hope will be not just a plan, the spurring of our economy and creating more jobs for the people of Erie County. Specific initiatives that will be funded in the budget include the creation of a new Greater Toronto Area Economic Development Office to assist Canadian and foreign companies expanding in the United States to open up here, which of course will create jobs. We want to build upon the successes that we've had in the last year. Think about it. Welded Tube has now moved to the Bethlehem Steel site. Gracious Living Canadian companies agreed to purchase the former port facilities of the NFTA, and they're going to be moving and spending millions of dollars to retrofit that site and create more than 200 jobs at that location. We need to continue to spread our message to our folks in Canada, our friends in Canada, that if they want to grow their companies, they don't have to leave Canada. They can expand into the United States, and the place to do that is here. And the easiest way to do that is to have an economic development office for Erie County in Toronto. We know other states do it. Heck, we know Minneapolis-St. Paul has an office in Toronto. It's about time that Buffalo and Erie County has an office in Toronto so we can increase the amount of development that we've seen and take advantage of this wonderful natural border that we have here. And I know if we create this office, which is funded in this budget, we will be able to do that. Other programs that are being funded as part of the budget and that were proposed in my Initiatives for Smart Economy includes a workforce development summits and other job programs to ensure that people who need job training and the skills necessary for the jobs that exist today can find them here, the training, so that they can then stay in this area. So those are also being funded. In total, there's $5 million for urgently needed work across all 3 ECC campuses, including classrooms to help the college educate our children of today and also our adults of today. Because many of the people who go to ECC are looking for advanced training, not necessarily a 2-year degree. So we'll be investing $5 million at the City, North, and South Campus. And that is in addition to the discussion that we've already had with regards to the building of the new facility at North Campus. We will be creating the position of Energy Officer for Erie County government to help reduce our costs associated with utility, electric, natural gas, you name it, fuel commodities, to operate the county more efficiently and in a more environmentally conscious manner. We know many other big communities our size are doing this. The University of Buffalo has done that and cut back on its energy costs. We're going to do the same thing here by having a Chief Energy Officer, which is going to examine the costs that we've been incurring in Erie County government and come up with ways to save that. We are also providing additional operating support for the Buffalo Convention Center and Visit Buffalo Niagara. They will be both receiving at least 1.5% of an increase, which will, of course, support tourism and other efforts that are going on here. And we'll be investing out of our capital budget $500,000 on a needs analysis study for whether we need a new convention center. If we do need a new one, where should it be? What type of convention center should it be? So we will be investing that in our community. We included also nearly 1.2% in new funding for arts and cultural organizations through a competitive process that we created as part of the Erie County Cultural Arts Board. And as part of this, we'll also be including additional funding, $60,000, for a public arts curator at the Albright Knox Art Gallery, which will leverage at least $120,000 of endowment money from the Albright Knox Art Gallery, which will be used to purchase and install art in public places throughout Erie County. I want to thank Dr. Yanni Seren, the new director of the Albright Knox Art Gallery, for working with my administration as well as the former board chair, Leslie Zemsky, to come up with a proposal that works well. They cannot use their endowment money to fund a curator. It can only be used to actually purchase art and install it. We have the ability to fund a curator, and we're going to do this. It's going to be a pilot program. We're going to see how it works. But we're going to invest, for every $1 that we're investing in county dollars, the Albright Knox is going to invest $2 when it comes to actually purchase of art and ensure it's in public places. This is not going to be at a gallery. This is going to be in public community centers, public spaces, so that people are going to be able to enjoy art, not just at the Albright Knox Art Gallery or the Birchfield Penny, but actually where they live and play. Those are a number of the items that we're putting in this Initiatives for a Smart Economy agenda as part of this budget. There's a few others, but these are some of the key ones. We ticked off a big one last week when we moved the ECIDA to 95 Perry Street, created a one-stop shop for economic development to make it easier for businesses to come here, to grow here, and we're going to be doing more of that as time goes by. So, in conclusion, as a public official, I'm ever mindful of the need to be a careful steward of the county's finances and to constantly work to ensure the residents get a fair, transparent, and honest budget. Yet I believe a budget should be more than just dollars and cents on a spreadsheet. It should be a common sense document to address the needs of our constituents and promote positive change for the entire community. Whether it be used as an economic tool, an engine to spur new job growth, a health and human services tool to address poverty and healthcare needs of our citizens, or the mechanism to create a more vibrant and long-lasting park system. This budget does exactly that. It's transparent, fair, and a responsible budget in which the dollars and cents are balanced and reflects the common sense priorities of my administration as it pertains to addressing the economic and health human service needs of our community. In this budget, I'm proud to say that not only have we maintained, but in some cases will enhance the services and programs that residents have demanded for some time now while holding the line on taxes. This was not an easy task to do. Thank each and every member of the budget staff for being here, starting with my budget director, Robert Key. And will not always be the case when it comes to going forward in county government. But for 2014, we were able to do that, and I thank them for doing that. I look forward to continuing to work in partnership with the legislature and the Erie County Fiscal Stability Authority, as well as the Comptroller's Office, on behalf of our community. And I now urge the legislature to work cooperatively. I now urge the legislators to work cooperatively with me and my budget staff to ensure not only that we continue the fiscal growth and health of our Erie County government, but the entire community in general. And I look forward to working with them in a responsible and nonpartisan manner to make that happen. Thank you.